Hello everyone, this is Hania Faisal, the director of the opening sequence The Last Subject. Throughout this project, my production skills have developed and matured remarkably, both in terms of technical ability and creative decision making. At the very beginning of the course, I completed a preliminary task where I created a 1 minute psychological horror short film. This task served as my first real exploration into the genre, and while it was relatively easy, it allowed me to begin experimenting with the foundational elements of tension, such as using ambient sound and eerie visuals. It also introduced me to camera techniques, lighting, and editing styles that help build suspense, even within a limited time frame and with very few resources. At that stage, I was still developing confidence behind the camera, and my understanding of telling a story visually was just starting. I mainly use static shots and available lighting, but the preliminary task gave me a strong foundation and made me more aware of how every frame and sound can influence how the viewers feel. It made me realize that psychological thrillers or horror rely heavily on what's not shown, just as much as what is, and that storytelling in this genre thrives on atmosphere, pacing, and ambiguity. Now, coming to my final project, my film, The Last Subject. I took everything I had learned and pushed it much further. I aimed to create an unsettling psychological thriller with layered meaning and a strong focus on visual storytelling. This time, I approached the process with a clearer vision and a more refined skill set, both technically and creatively. One of the most significant areas of development was how I used a camera as a storytelling tool. For example, I used a blurry camera point of view that gradually sharpens to reveal the baked man, immediately creating disorientation and disturbance. This was a technique I had not yet mastered in the preliminary task, but through further experimentation, I learned how to manipulate focus and camera movement to reflect the character's perspective and create tension without using dialogues. A creative decision that added a deeper psychological layer to the story was the introduction of a 224 tattoo on the photographer's hand. I linked this tattoo to the numbers that appear on the printed photographs, building a mysterious connection that hints at a larger backstory or cycle. It suggests that the photographer may be more involved in the fate of the subjects than he appears, or even that he might be one of them. This symbolic detail encouraged viewers to question the narrative and added a layer of interpretation beyond what was shown on a screen. It was the first time I used visual motifs in this way, and it helped me to understand how to use symbolism to enrich storytelling. My grasp of mise-en-scene improved significantly as well. I designed the setting with dim lighting, a muted color palette, and a wall of faces to create an unsettling and surreal atmosphere. In contrast to my preliminary task, where I used mostly natural or found lighting, this time I made conscious decisions about light placement, shadow, and composition to control the mood and keep the audience on edge. My approach to camera work became much more deliberate. I incorporated slow tracking shots, insert shots, and extreme close ups to highlight tension and focus the audience on specific details. The way I framed certain moments, such as the photographer crossing out the photo on the wall, was carefully planned to enhance suspense and create psychological unease without resorting to overt scare. In post production, I explored sound design and visual effects more deeply. I layered faint laughter and distorted audio to blur the line between reality and illusion. These techniques were a major step up from my preliminary film and helped me create a more polished and immersive thriller. Overall, I have grown much more confident in all areas of the filmmaking process, from concept development and visual planning to directing, editing, and post production. Most importantly, I learned how to construct a psychological thriller that does not rely on traditional plot devices but instead uses symbolism, subtle visual clues like the tattoo, pacing, and atmosphere to leave a lasting impact. This project helped me find my voice as a filmmaker and showed me how to tell deeper, more layered stories within the psychological thriller genre.